يا مستر لسه لم أعلن عن الفورم لأن في ناس لسه ما دخلتش. الفورم هينزل والكل موجود في غضون 10 دقايق وهيتم رفعه. احنا دلوقتي الموجود 40 من 70، باقي فيه 30 لسه ما دخلوش.
I had a question, Mr. Mahmoud. Could I ask a question, Mr. Mahmoud?
Go on, Miss Wala.
Okay. Concerning they fought hard and they fought hard fight. Okay.
Yeah.
They fought hard. This is intransitive verb.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Hard here is an adverb.
Yeah. I'm not talking about hard.
I am talking how we change transitive into intransitive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we change the adverb to hard fight to a noun preceded by an adjective. This is the way.
No. It's not related to the adjective or the adverb itself, but basically it's related to an object. We can say they fight. They fought yesterday. Ahmed and Ali fought yesterday.
Yes. Warrant or fought yesterday. Okay. Yeah. Here we don't have an object.
Yeah. There is no need for an adjective or to change it into an adverb. The matter is basically related to using an object.
I can't hear you, Mr. Mahmoud.
Okay, Mr. Mahmoud, do you have anything to add? So I think Mr. Mahmoud has a problem. So let's start right now in order to end in our time, inshallah, sharply. So welcome, my dear colleagues. I hope you're all doing well. Today is the third session of Take 3, of course. And let me tell you that our session today is a quite good chance to practice speaking together. At the same time, this will be an opportunity to discuss some elements related to the best ways of teaching speaking. And of course, this is the most difficult problem you can face inside your classrooms, you know. Okay, so we will speak about two elements. Firstly, the idea of responsibility for university learning. And of course, I shared some videos with you. And now I think you have a kind of idea about higher education in the UK. So let's mention some notes as a brief summary of what you have understood, and it's better to make a comparison between it and that is here in Egypt. So let me ask you some questions, and as I told you, of course, our session today will be for practicing speaking. So have a good chance to practice, to share. You are sharing ideas, and at the same time, you are practicing your own language in order to find a good environment to practice speaking, of course. So let me ask you to read these questions firstly, and after that, we can give our summaries. So the first question is, who pays for undergraduate education in your country? I mean Egypt. So please Miss أمال لو سمحتي Miss أمال unmute الناس افتحي المايكس علشان اللي عايز يشارك. You can raise your hand and I will try to listen to most of you إن شاء الله.
تمام، يعني اسيب المايكات مفتوحة.
أيوه
تمام. في مايكات متاحة، هفتح لحضرتك الباب.
Okay. If you want to share, please raise your hand. And of course, today we will have a chance to practice all because we have many things to discuss. So please take this opportunity and try to seize this chance to practice. So let's answer the first question. Okay. Please, you can raise your hand, and if I tell your name, you can unmute yourself and speak. So let's start right now. Who wants to answer the first question? Of course, we are speaking about Egypt, our country, Egypt. Please, Miss أمال لو سمحتي افتحي المايكس للجميع لأن المتاح مش كتير. أوكي.
تمام، أنا هفتح المايكات للجميع ومش هعمل لها ميوت تاني لأن ده بياخد وقت.
لا خلاص سيبيهم يعني، لا سيبيهم، سيبي الكل متاح. وإن شاء الله زملائي الأعزاء لو حضراتكم حابين إن انتوا تشير you can raise your hand but please don't speak till I ask you to speak.
تمام.
Okay. الناس المتاحة. Okay. Do you want to share with me? Let's speak about the difference between education in the UK and in Egypt. What is the difference?
المايك متاح للجميع مس أصلا.
Okay, I don't think so, but I'm trying. أعتقد مش كله، يعني مش كل الناس متاحة يا أستاذة أمال. ممكن
يعني
يكون
أنا
لسه بيظهر عندي.
أوكي. عدد بسيط تمام بيظهر عند حضرتك، ممكن يكون ضعف نت. هما فاضل بالظبط 3 اللي لسه ما تعملوش فتح المايكات. تمام، أنا هفتحهم. أوكي.
خلاص ما تعمليش ميوت بقى للناس تاني.
لا مش عامله نيوت تاني علشان انا مش هكون فاضيه دلوقتي، علشان هبدا عندي شغل. كنت مستاذنه من مستر محمود ان انا مش هقدر احضر اللقاء كامل النهارده.
اوكي نيفر
طب
مايند.
هسيب التسجيل
يا
بس.
جماعة لو سمحتوا يا جماعة، يا ريت for all attendees نبعد عن أي صوت خارجي، سواء تلفزيون أو فون أو أي أطفال، علشان ما يحصلش interruption للسيشن. فرجاء يعني المايكات كلها هتكون مفتوحة، بس أي صدى صوت بيعطل المحاضرة. تمام؟ go on متصل.
هو ممكن from time to time يعني make sure that you are muted and don't unmute yourself till you want to speak. Okay, so let's discuss what is the difference between learning in the UK, United Kingdom, and in Egypt. Who pays for our students learning here in Egypt? Who pays? The parents or the student himself? And what about the case in the UK?
Miss Aslana, we are raising our hand this
Could I
10
speak,
minutes
Miss
ago.
Aslana?
Okay, Mr. Mahi can start, but I can't see who is raising his hand. Okay, I'm trying to see. Okay.
Mr. Mah, go on. I'm with you.
Yes, Mr. Sana.
Miss Sana Abu Isa, go on.
Yes, Mr. Good
Go on.
evening, everybody. Good evening, Ms. Aslana. Good evening, Mr. Mahmoud.
Good evening.
Relating to payments of education in Egypt, it is a burden on parents, not students or undergraduates. The parents are those who are responsible for the payments of education in Egypt, mainly and basically.
Yes, okay. But let me ask you about the higher education. So is it okay for the students to pay for themselves? Mr. Mahmoud, I cannot see who is raising his hand.
Yeah,
I think there is,
I'm with you.
I think it's related to the control of the,
Yeah.
السلام عليكم مس أسلانة سامعني؟
Mr.
yes, I
Ahmed
hear you.
Abdelrazak, go on.
مس أسلانة أنا شايفة
Abdelrazak,
عندي هنا في الشات بس
go on.
اسمحوا لي عندكم
Go
الإعدادات.
on, Mr. Ahmed.
Okay, Mr. Ahmed, you can speak now.
البتاع بتاعت
Mr. Ahmed Abdelrazak. Mr. Ahmed is muted. Mr. Ahmed, Mr. Mahmoud, Mr. Ahmed will not be able to speak.
Yeah. You see,
Okay.
Miss Hayam
He-
Haroon.
Okay.
Hayam Haroon, go on.
Okay, Ms. Hayam, please, Mr. Mahmoud, try to unmute Mr. Ahmed.
Yeah.
Okay, Ms. Hayam.
In Egypt, the government subsidizes undergraduate education at public universities. But
Yes.
families bear most costs at private institutions.
Yeah, so you want to say that the student, in all cases, is not responsible for his own education.
Yes, in private institutions only, but at public universities and at public, the government subsidizes subsidizes graduates and
The process of education itself, yes. I understand what you mean. Okay, Ms. Hayam. So, Ms. Sana, you have another opinion, Ms. Sana? So please, when you share, lower your
Yes.
hand. Yes, Ms. Sana, do you want to share?
I want to add another idea that in higher education, like in universities, some young people began to pay for their education in colleges or university, especially young men, male, not females. Yes.
Yeah.
Some of young people began to share in the payments of their education by working beside their education.
Yeah, Ms. Sana, I think some girls at the same time work to pay for their own education. Yeah, okay. So let me ask you this. Yeah, okay. So let me ask you the second question. What qualifications do you need to get into university here in Egypt? I'm speaking about Egypt.
Yes. Me?
Okay, Ms. Sana, go ahead.
Okay.
Please, if you want to share, raise your hand.
Okay.
Please, Mr. Mahmoud, give permission to Mr. Ahmed. Okay, Ms. Sana, you can speak, Ms. Sana. Okay.
Okay. In Egypt, you must have a high school degree to go and join to university. And this is a basic condition to do this. to get a specific degree from high school.
Nice. Okay.
And some colleges, we must some students must have practical tests to join specific faculties.
So you mean that our students are working to gain money and to gain experience at the same time?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, excellent. Of course, and this is needed nowadays. Of course, thanks a lot, Ms. Sana. Let's have Ms. Wala to answer the third question. Does having a degree help you to get a job?
Yes, of course, but I think in Egypt now and in the whole world, the requirements of the job market have been changed. So the job market doesn't only need graduates who have bachelor degree, but they also must have master or PhD degree. Also, they must have some practical experience in companies, in factories, in schools. Also, they must have courses, English courses, computer courses. I think so.
Yeah, very good. So this means that our students, to be able to work, they must have specific skills. Yeah, very good. Let's have Mr. Sami read the fourth question, please, Mr. Sami, and try to answer it with me.
Yes, I agree. A degree can open doors to better job opportunities, as many employers prioritize candidates with higher education qualifications.
Nice. Okay. So, Mr. Sami, let me ask you about your opinion of education in the United Kingdom. What's your opinion? Did you watch the video?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Can you tell us your opinion?
I think they prefer reading. The skills of English language should be taken care, and as well there should be a kind of apprenticeship. It means that technical work is also required. Not all education is dedicated to universities, but the technical work, technical education is also necessary.
Nice. So you mean that the certificate is not qualified? You are not qualified to work. Of course, you need to have some experience.
Yeah, that's right.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, Mr. Sami. And let's have Miss Hana. Oh, Miss Hana is muted. Okay, please, Mr. Mahmoud, unmute her.
My mic is muted, Mrs. Aslana.
Yeah.
I know. I can see Miss Hana. I can see.
You can complete. Okay. Mostly we are talking about the qualifications needed to join university. Mostly in Egypt, it's the degree of higher education, as we say, ثانوية عامة, or technical education. But in England, there might be other choices than that we find here in Egypt.
Yes.
Can you give me an example?
Well, I don't know for exact, but as from my readings, I think in England you can join university through courses, specific courses. You can study a significant subject to join this field. You don't have to study all the subjects that we study here in Egypt, as I think. And I might be mistaken.
And payment is a big problem for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but Miss Hannah is speaking about a very important point here. She's speaking about we are learning more and more subjects, and if we want to work, we don't need any one of these subjects. We just need experience, some skills, and some courses to help us to face the requirements of our society. So, of course, this is a very important point because it's related to what our young people need. Our young people need experience, and some skills, of course, like language, computer skills, AI, and so on. Okay, nice job. Thanks a lot, Miss Hannah. Miss Siham, do you have anything to add?
I want to say the same thing. There is a gap between education and the labor market needs. Graduates
Yes.
may need to develop additional skills to keep up with the job market, both locally and internationally. That is the thing I want to say.
Yeah, of course.
Thank
You can
you.
say that while you are studying at your university, you are living in a country. And once you start to work, you will live in another country and you will face life for the first time, of course. And
Of course.
you can find some of our students after graduation are astonished, or you can say shocked, because they find something completely different from what they have been or have been dreaming of. Okay, so we have some words related to education in the universities in the UK, and let's study these words. Can you see my screen now?
No.
No, you can't. Okay, I will try to
No.
share it again. Okay. Miss, okay, Mr. Mahmoud, you are raising your hand.
No, no, no.
Listen. Okay, Mr. Mahmoud, do you have anything to add?
No, no, no. Go on.
Till I share my screen. Okay. Okay, I think you can see it now. So now let's read these words and try to match them with their definitions. So please take 1 minute to look at these words. Okay, Miss Nahla and Miss Wala, we will take just 1 minute and I will listen to you. Okay, now I can start with Miss Wala. You can start, Miss Wala. What do you mean by interest?
Interest, it means extra money paid on a loan or bank savings.
Yeah, so what we call الفائدة. Okay. Okay, nice job. Let's have Miss Nahla. Salary. And I think this is clear, Miss
Salary.
Nahla. Okay.
Yes, regular monthly or annual pay packet.
No, yes, of course. Now, student loan. Let's have Mr. Sami.
Yes, student loan is money borrowed by a student from a bank or a finance company.
Sure. Okay. Okay,
Tuition
Mr. Sami,
fees.
thanks a lot.
Tuition fees.
And let's have tuition.
Okay.
Okay, Miss Hayam.
For the
Money a student pays to a university.
Okay. Of course, this is what we pay for our education. And let's have Miss Nahla, career. Okay, who
Career.
else wants to share, please? Raise your hand.
Could I speak, Miss Aslana?
Yes. Miss Nahla, okay, and after that, Miss Wala, you will speak. Okay, Miss Nahla? What do you mean by
Having a
career?
getting a better job or salary within a company over time.
Okay, nice job. And let's have Miss Wala. Okay.
Repayment, money paid back on a loan. Money paid back on a loan.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
This is related to repetition, of course, and that's very easy, but I will speak with you about this point. Okay, struggle. Who else?
Fight.
Yes, Miss Aslan. Fight.
Miss Hayam. Miss Hayam, okay.
Yes, Miss
Fight.
Aslan.
Fight.
Mm-hmm.
Summer job.
This means fight. Yeah. Okay, Miss Hayam, thanks a lot. And the summer job?
Work between academic years.
Yes.
Yes. And of course, wage means money paid for a week's work. Of course, this is a kind of exercise or activity that can help your students to have some time to think, and after that they can share their own ideas. Of course, this is not as a way to you to think. Of course, this is easy to you, but I'm trying to give you an example to give your students, of course, to be able to get them engaged and they will feel confident somewhat. And after that, you can have some ideas, some more ideas from them. Okay. And of course, now we will speak about active learning. Okay. So let's guess the answers. But of course, you have watched 2 videos and you have listened to an MP3 podcast and you can answer these questions. But we will try to guess anything we don't know. We will start with Miss Sana. Say whether number 1 is true or false. Number 1, Miss Sana, read and tell us, true or false?
False.
Okay, read it, please. Read aloud.
Costs of attending university in Britain are going up.
Okay. Miss Wala.
I think the first
Going
one
up,
is true.
I mean, it's more expensive. Do you think this is false?
Yes, I think this is true. I think this is true,
Yes.
of course, because
Of course,
from the
everything
passage,
is going high and high. Okay.
and in the passage they mentioned that 80% of students take out a student loan to pay their tuition fees. So I think it's more and more expensive.
Of course. Sure. You are speaking about 70% of our students. So you are speaking about the most of them. Okay. Number 2.
More than 80%. More than 80%.
Yeah. Number 2. I asked whom? Okay, Miss Sana.
Yes.
Number 2. Read aloud, please, and tell us whether it's true or false.
70%. 70% of students have a student loan. That is the sentence.
I think Miss Wala answered this right now.
I can see another sentence, Ms. Atlana.
Okay, I will read it to you. 70% of students have a student loan. Is this true or false?
True.
Okay, let's see. But I think we have another opinion. It's not 70%, but it's more than 80, as Miss Wala, I think, told us. Okay, number 3, Miss Hayam.
Number 3 is the average debt is 10,000 false. It's higher than 10,000, I think.
Okay, we
I
will
think
see and make sure, but not now. Let's move to number 4.
Yes,
Who
Miss
else
Aslana.
wants to share, please? I need some different. Yes,
Yes, Miss Aslana.
yes, Miss Hayam, I hear you. Go on.
number.
Uh,
Okay,
with you,
number
Miss
4.
Nahla.
Okay, Miss Nahla, we will listen to Miss Hayam, and after that you can speak. Okay. Miss
Okay,
Hayam,
number
okay.
4. Okay, number 4. The average British person does not have their parents home until they are 30. True.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Let's move to number 5, Miss Nahla.
Yes, many graduates are disappointed when they start work. True.
Disappointed, yeah. So many graduates are disappointed when they start work. Of course, I was telling you now that they face something which is completely different. Yeah. So number 6, Miss Wale.
Okay. The number of British students at university is going down. I think true, because the number has fallen as they suffer now from student poverty. After they graduate, they have to repay back the students' loans which they took before. So they suffered a lot today in England. Most graduates suffered a lot, even if their salary was a great salary, but they have to repay back their students' loan again, or their tuition fees.
Sure.
So the
Our
sentence
students now face many problems because they have to study and to work at the same time. And of course, they are working, but what they gain is not enough to pay for their learning. So
yes, of
the
course.
number of our students is less. Okay, so number 7, Miss Sanat.
British students are getting richer.
Do you think
False.
so? Of course. No one is getting richer. ولا في British ولا في أي مكان. Okay. Number 8. Miss Sana, you can answer
The
number 8 also.
The number of international students is going up. Yeah.
Of course, international students are facing the same problems British students are facing. So it's the same problem, and there is no difference between national and international students in UK. Okay. Okay, of course, let's start to speak about some important elements. Of course, in order to improve our students' speaking skills, we should pay attention to what we call active learning. So, what do we mean by active learning? Who can tell me? Of course, I told you that we will practice our speaking skills now, but I find that not many of you are trying to speak with me, although this is a good chance for you to practice your speaking skill. Of course, we are not native speakers of English, but we are trying to be better. So please don't lose this chance to speak. Okay, of course, today we will discuss some important elements and strategies to help us to teach speaking, to solve the problem of speaking in our classrooms. So I started by mentioning active learning. So who can tell me what is the meaning of active learning, or what is the importance of it, and how can we apply this? Okay, Miss Hayam is raising her hand. Okay, Miss Hayam.
I think active learning, it means engaging students in the learning process by encouraging them to actively participate in activities. I think that.
Oh, yeah, very good.
And
Of course,
this can
active learning.
involve, Okay, this can involve discussions, problem-solving tasks, group projects, or hands-on experiments.
Of course.
And the goal
Yes.
of the active learning is to enhance the students' critical thinking skills.
Of course, and this is a very important point here. Of course, you know, our students all the time are trying to keep silent because they are fearing of making mistakes, and at the same time, they don't have ideas, they might be shy, and so on. So, our role is to encourage them and to help them to get engaged, of course. So, as you told us, active learning encourages student agency in the learning process. Okay, so what are the elements we can find, or what are the strategies to get active in your classroom? What can you find nowadays?
In activities like group work and problem-based learning, and
Nice.
and the activity of think, pair, and share.
Very
Okay,
good.
role play. Students
Nice.
act out scenarios to understand the different perspectives and deepen their learning. Okay.
Very good. I appreciate that. Very good, Miss Hayam. And let's have Mr. Sami. Okay, Mr. Sami, we are all ears.
Active learning is an approach to instruction. Students are actively involved in the learning process. So any activity which highlight the role of the student is active learning. The learner is situated in the center of the learning process.
Okay, Mr. Sami, you mean that we have a student-centered approach. You mean this?
Yeah.
So anything which is focusing on our students will help them to be engaged. Yeah, I'm with
Yes,
you. I'm completely with you. I completely agree with you, Mr. Sami, of course. And we have something also called project-based learning. And of course, you will find this in the first spread this year, I think.
Yeah.
So what do we mean by project-based learning, and what's the importance of this?
Yeah, you need me to answer it?
Okay, if you please. Okay, I hear you.
Yeah. Okay. I think project work or projects, it is a student-centered method. They are tasks assigned by the teacher to the students to track their performances. Students work in a team. They may brainstorm ideas. And this brainstorming may help them to share their thoughts, have multiple ideas over the classroom, and select the best one among them. So the students are cooperate inside the classroom together to form a team to
Very good,
achieve
Mr.
this
Sami.
project.
And you mentioned a significant point here. You spoke about tasks. So, do you think there is a difference between a task and a project, or they are the same?
No, I think a project is not a task. They are totally different. But a project, I think a project in the classroom is not a task. The project is general, is something general, because it is like strategy have, for example, a specific time, space, decision, what is the project is, what are the examples of projects, and so on. And this involves working in small teams to achieve the project. The task is not like this. The task is provided by the teacher individually. I give only one student a task to achieve, but a project is not like that. It's different.
Very good. Nice, nice, very good. Thanks a lot, Mr. Sami.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Ms. Sana, you can add something, okay?
I think a task can be part of a project.
Okay. Or it can be a
The
step.
project
Can be the first step
Yes.
to prepare your students to be able to perform in a project. Okay,
Yes.
nice job. Okay,
There
so
will be many tasks for many students to do in the same or at the same project.
nice. Okay, so as Mr. Sami and Miss Sanat told us, we can speak about project-based learning experiences. Of course, these allow students to engage in learning about a topic over a period of time, of course, and may help the development of deep understanding. And of course, we are seeking this point, understanding. And at the same time, project-based learning can also incorporate a variety of skills. So it can contain skills inside it, as Ms. Sanat told us. And as students work independently or together. To make what? To make a video, a book, or even a website. These are projects. Or it might be an invention. Okay. Another point I want to add, it's called inquiry-based learning. So what do I mean by this? Inquiry-based learning, and this is a good step of active learning. Do you know? Please, my dear colleagues, this is the last time I tell you that this is a quite good chance for you to participate and to speak with me. Never be shy and never be afraid of making mistakes. We are all colleagues and we are trying to share our ideas together. And of course, we all respect each other. So please don't hesitate to share with me and don't hesitate to seize any chance to speak and to practice your own language. Okay, I'm asking about inquiry-based learning. Of course, I think Miss Siham. Okay, Miss Siham.
I wanted to talk about benefits of active learning, not this question.
Okay, you can speak, Miss Siham. I'm hearing you.
Benefits of active learning improve critical thinking. Active learning encourages students to analyze, evaluate information, improving their problem-solving skills, and collaboration skills. When students working in groups, this enhances teamwork and communication skills and increase motivation because interactive and engaging activities make learning more motivating for students. Thank you.
Nice. Nice job. Of course, you are speaking about active learning, and I'm speaking about inquiry-based learning, and they are the same, of course. Inquiry-based learning is a type of active learning. And as I told you, if your students are engaged and thinking at the same time as you told me, Mr. Ham, you are helping your students to think in English. And of course, this will increase their fluency to express themselves in English, of course. Our students sometimes find difficulty to speak because they need some time to think in Arabic and after that to translate. But this will be difficult for them because they will be hesitated and they will need a long time. And after that, they will never try to speak again because they found some difficulty and they felt shy and embarrassed. Of course, you can ask your students to answer some specific questions in order to be able to, or to be ready to answer just a question and to sit down. This is some kind of encouragement. And this is what I mean by inquiry-based learning, which emphasizes the importance of effective questioning and thinking skills. Of course, you give your student a question and let him to think, and after that he can share his answer. And he is not required to speak a lot. So you are encouraging him to be motivated. Okay, and at the same time, students consider key questions that need to be answered to understand a given topic. So you are asking your students some questions to speak, and at the same time, they are thinking about the project or the topic they are asked to perform. Of course, our students will participate in activities like this. And of course, this will be an open environment for them to practice. Okay, so we have another thing I want to ask you about, which is called blended learning. What do we mean by blended learning? Do you know this? Miss Sanat, do you want to share?
I can't hear you clearly, Ms. Atlana.
Okay, again, I am asking you about what do we mean by blended learning? What's the meaning of blended learning?
Blended?
Yes, blended. So it's a kind of mix, you know, a mix. A mix between two things. What are these two things? Of course, it's clear from its name. It's a mix between two things. What are they?
It may be a mixture between the role of teacher and the role of the students.
Okay, this is a good try, but there is another answer to this question. Who can help Ms. Sanat in this point?
May I answer? May I answer this question?
Sure.
Blended learning, I think it's that combination traditional face-to-face classroom instruction with online.
Yeah,
online learning.
This is the point. Of course.
Allows students to engage in both activities and the digital content, providing flexible or personalized learning experience or whatever.
So this kind of learning allows our students to do part of their learning in an independent digital environment. Of course, they work alone, and part of it in a face-to-face classroom setting. And of course, this technique combines the strengths of both settings to create a well-rounded experience that gives students opportunities to keep the track of learning in their own time and to have in-person interactions and group interaction. Of course, our students will work individually, and in our face-to-face classrooms, they will work in pairs or in groups. Okay.
Module 3, 1.
Can I add something, please?
Sure, Mr. Sami, of course. I am all ears.
Yeah. So let me clarify blended learning. It's called also hybrid learning. And it is technology-mediated instruction. It's an approach to combine, online educational material and traditional instruction. Let me say, face-to-face instruction happened in the classroom, but technology-mediated instruction or online educational materials may be happened in the classroom or outside the classroom because of technology. We can use it in the classroom or outside. So there is a mix
Mr. Sami, and there is a term here. There is a term here I want to mention, and I don't know whether you remember it or not.
Yeah.
Flipped classrooms. This is exactly what you are speaking about now, Mr. Sami. This is called flipped classrooms. Of course, the process of learning itself will be at home with our students through a link, through a video, through a website you send to your students. And the classroom itself will be a place for discussion. And of course, I think you remember this happened during coronavirus pandemic. Of course, our students were asked to work and watch some videos and to study at home. And after that, the school is for just for discussion. not for learning. So our students are, our classrooms are flipped, or you can say upside down, as we call الفصل المقلوب. So studying would be at home, discussion and homework would be at school. Okay, so flipped classrooms are a good example of what Mr. Sami was mentioning now, which is the mixing or the blending of both strategies, working online and working face-to-face. And of course, I can tell you that cooperative learning in all these ways encourages struggling classes into groups to foster communication and working together in smaller units. Of course, our students will be asked to work individually at home. After that, they can share their own ideas with their peers in the school, and they work in smaller groups, and they can expand and share their ideas to bigger groups or larger groups. And this might be used in front of the school itself. Of course, our students might work on a project, and they might be asked to give a presentation of their project to their groups, to their classrooms, and after that to the whole school. Or they might work to represent their school in a competition between schools. Okay, so here are the answers to the questions. Of course, you answered all of them. Do you have any question here? Okay, so let's move to the next point. Of course, this is a game to work face-to-face. And we mentioned something like it. Okay. Hello, I'm so sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Of course, one of the best ways to help our students to speak confidently, to give them some examples and to provide them with some expressions to use to be able to speak about what I ask them to do. Okay, so how to express that you are for or you are against something. So here are some expressions you can provide your students with to help them to speak. Of course, if you are for something, you can say that you mentioned the topic itself, like paying their own fees, could make so and so, and I will show you 1 minute. Sorry. Okay, and you can mention that you are against by saying that not everyone, not all this is not good, this is not, and so on. So you can provide your students with these expressions to help them to start speaking. And of course, you might write these expressions on the board and they can look at them while they are speaking. Of course, now you are helping them to make a part of the sentence, not the whole sentence, because you are providing them with a part of the sentence, which is the expression you are providing to them. Okay. Okay. Before speaking about this point, a grammar point, of course, we want to speak about another thing about teaching speaking. So, of course, we are trying to help our students to speak well. And I want to speak about something called scaffolding. So, what do we mean by scaffolding? Do you know? So, please, if you want to speak, you can just unmute yourself and start to speak. Okay, so let me tell you what's the importance of scaffolding. Okay, I cannot see who is raising his hand, or there is no one raising his hand, but it doesn't matter. If you want to speak, you can unmute yourself and start. Okay, so of course, we are speaking about collaborative classrooms. So these are kinds of classrooms that contain students who are working all the time, students who are sharing all the time. Okay, so what do I mean by scaffold? Of course, this is a framework which is put up for support, for help, and access to meaning, and is taken away when the student feels success and masters tasks. Of course, like what we call استقالة. Of course, we use it to finish our work, and till we finish, okay, we take it back. Okay, and this is some kind of help. We help our students for some time to get engaged, and after that you can take this help. Like what? Like when you let your students to speak in Arabic or to use some Arabic. And after that, you can let them to speak all English all the time. But this cannot happen at once, but it might take some time. So, of course, this kind of helping our students, this will support to the meaning and is taken away when the student feels, of course, success, as I told you, and masters the task and the concepts we want them to gain. And at the same time, we have some strategies for our students to help them. Of course, I spoke about scaffolding, so our students will be able to speak if we help. So how can we help them? So my question now is how to help our students, or what are the different strategies to help our students to speak, to practice speaking confidently and fluently. So if you have an idea, please, you can raise your hand or just unmute yourself and start to speak. How to help your students to get engaged in speaking?
Can I speak?
Sure.
First, we don't always correct their mistakes and let yes, let them make mistakes from time to time, and not every mistake they make we correct it. Okay, or we correct them. Give them a room to express themselves within the words they know, or the vocabulary they know and they can understand. Always encourage students who are shy. Give tips to them and prompt them while speaking. If they مثلا stop at a meaning or a word, we can prompt them by telling them the word. Okay. If someone is telling his answer or giving his answer and stopped at a certain word, I can give it to him or give it to them.
Yes.
In a way. That is prompting. Make students speak to each other, and I monitor them. That is a way of giving them the opportunity not to be shy, not to speak directly to the teacher. I can let them speak to each other, and I just monitor them and make notes of what they do and what they say. Give them interesting topics to talk about, like the things they like. For example, I give them a topic to talk about football. I think most young people and most students now, especially young boys, like football very much, and of course like Mohamed Salah and Liverpool, and they know much news about this topic exactly. That's I think some of the things that can make students talk and share what they have.
Of course, Mr. Ahmed, these are very effective. Of course, you spoke about 3 elements, Mr. Ahmed. You spoke about letting our students to work in pairs or even in groups, and the student is just a monitor. This is a very good way to let our students share, and of course, we are giving opportunity or a chance for our shy students to share. This is the first point. There is another point, which is paying attention to the interests of our students, to what they like. So if you are working in the area of their interest, they will be engaged and they will share with you. And there is the third thing, and this is the most important one of them, Mr. Ahmed, which means that you must be patient. Of course, you don't have to correct the mistakes at once, but you must wait. You must correct some of them at the end of the task. You might not correct them directly, but in an indirect way. And of course, you can speak in English, but you can speak slowly to let your students get engaged and to be able to speak with you. Of course, these are good techniques and strategies, Mr. Ahmed. Thanks a lot. Who else wants to share?
Yes, can I add, please?
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Sure, Mr. Ahmed,
Yeah.
you can complete, and after that your colleague will complete. Okay.
No, I am Mr. Sami, not Mr. Ahmed.
Mr. Sami, okay, the same voice.
Yeah.
I'm so
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
Mr.
no
Sami.
problem. So I can add
Okay.
to the previous points. A professional teacher can minimize student frustration. He should not stop the student during speaking and encourage him to communicate. How can this be achieved? Through praising, through encouraging him to continue, okay, and not to interrupt him. This is a very crucial point. Another point, a teacher should not mention student mistake immediately. He can delay these mistakes to يعني later on.
Very good,
Okay.
Mr. Sami.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Okay, nice job. Okay, we have Miss Wala raising her hand.
Okay, Ms. Aslana, I think we could engage our students in speaking lessons. Could you hear me, Mrs. Aslana?
Yeah, I
Could
hear
you hear
you.
me?
Yes.
Okay, I think we could engage our students in speaking lessons or in communication by giving them role-playing simulations. We could, for example, create for them real-life situations. Like job interviews. I could divide my students into two groups to role play job interviews or role play customer service rules or role playing tourists asks for directions and so on. And here the teacher should be facilitator only, should focus on fluency, not on accuracy.
Yes. So
Okay.
you are speaking about interviews, and of course, this is some kind of role play. Some of our students might work as presenters or as managers, and they can interview other students. And of course, this is a good way to get your students engaged, and they will practice using your English without difficulty. Okay, and we have Mr. Ahmed.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Ahmed.
Yes. I can encourage students by role play a conversation. I ask them to role play a conversation or a short story. They listen to a story and I ask the student to say the story again or imagine a story and speak about it. I can give them a video asking the students to listen carefully and speak about the video. I can give them a paragraph asking them to write the paragraph and speak again and tell me about the paragraph. For example, a topic like Muhammad Salah, pollution, or any short stories they can summarize in their set book.
Okay, so you're speaking about a summary. Of course, you can give your students something to listen, and you can ask them to listen more than once. Of course, teach your students not to listen once, but they must listen at least 3 times to any podcast or to watch a video, 3 times at least. Of course, you can give your students something to watch, to listen to, or even to read. And after that, you can ask them to give you a summary of a paragraph or some short notes to tell you about what they have understood of this video or of this passage. And of course, you can ask your students to interview each other or just to work in pairs to exchange ideas, of course. And of course, giving a summary is a good way to express our ideas, understanding, and to improve our speaking fluency. Very good. And let's have Miss Hayam.
I can give them an opportunity to ask and answer questions about a given situation. I can split into pairs to read information or pair work activities to create life situations. And I'll praise them for their efforts and encourage them to think of different situations. Also, I can add good speaking activities can and should be highly motivating. If all the students are participating fully, it will be a matter for the teacher to judge based on the student's level.
Yeah, of course. The student's level and the student's interest. These are the most important elements you must pay attention to in order to gain your students, in order to get them by your side. And they will be engaged with you all the time if you pay attention to these elements. Okay, Miss Sanaa. Okay, Miss Sanaa.
Okay. I can start a subject with my students and give them some leading words on the board. that can help them to and encourage them to speak.
Good
If
strategy.
they
This is a
don't,
very important strategy, of course, because you are not giving your students words or expressions. You are giving them confidence and feeling of help. And if they feel
sometimes
yes,
sometimes the students can't speak because they don't have the vocabulary to say.
sure,
They
it's a
don't
good way
know
to
what to
work.
say.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Nice.
just giving them some leading words, not ideas or sentences or phrases, just some
Sure.
leading words that encourage them to share and speak.
Very good. Of course, they will feel confident because they have the most important words. And of course, they feel that their teacher is by their side and she's helping them all the time, of course. And I want to speak about another point. You, as a teacher, must cultivate relationships. Of course, here, as a teacher, getting to know each student helps you understand who they are, where they come from, and perhaps gain some insight into what teaching and learning styles are most effective for them. Of course, this means that if you understand your students well, you will be able to choose the best strategy for them. Do you understand me? Okay, so um, is there anything else? Okay. Mr. Semi wants to share something. Okay, Mr. Semi.
Yeah. There is something different than what you mentioned. There is speaking anxiety, which is against what we all mentioned. It is the shyness and the feeling of worry about worrying about students are reluctant. They are not. They don't want to share in speaking activities because of this speaking anxiety, which is a shyness or worrying about. So the professional teacher has to work with the speaking anxiety and try to listen it as much as he can.
Okay, Mr. Semi, can you tell us what can you do with this problem?
Yeah, sure. He can encourage students to speak. He can. I don't mention the mistakes of the students on the spot. He can discuss these mistakes with them later. Okay. For postponing will encourage students to go on the conversation. He can take notes. He can take notes of his speaking mistakes, okay, and not mention it when speaking. And when the situation finished, he can, as you mentioned, fluency is important than accuracy. So students are encouraged and have a good task or speak well. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, yeah, I hear you. Okay, Mr. Sami, I am with you. But I
Yeah.
need to ask a question not to you, Mr. Sami, but to all my colleagues. If I want to teach my student speaking, or of course, today, for example, is a speaking lesson. So, how can I start with my students? Of course, I can start with some words and so on. And at the same time, I must pay attention to what we call input. Input. So, in order to ask your students to give you a production or a product, you must give them something. Not ask them to practice speaking. Of course, this is not good because they will practice according to their own limited experience. But before speaking every day, you must add something to their experience, some kind of input before asking them to speak. You might provide them with some words, show them a video to get experience and ideas, to speak with them, to let them think individually, work in pairs, and after that, sharing groups and so on. But make sure that before each speaking lesson that you are helping your students to gain something new. So we must use a variety of methods to engage learning, to engage our students. So the idea here is to provide students with multiple options for taking in information. Taking in before producing. Of course, processing and making sense of ideas and sharing what they are learning. Of course, this will help them a lot. For example, all kids learn better when they engage with material in multiple ways. For example, lessons that involve writing, speaking, drawing, and listening, for example. Those additional engagements also provide a little breathing room, an environment which is relaxing. So they can walk through the language barrier. And of course, you can use visual aids. So can you tell me how does this help our students? Visual aids like pictures, flashcards, or even videos.
Please, Ms. Hassana.
Yes?
Interruption, just 1 minute, please.
Yes.
Yes. If you please,
Okay,
Mr.
Mr. Mahmoud. Okay, but
1 minute, please.
speak up, please, Mr. Mahmoud, because your voice is very low. I can hardly hear you.
Just only 1 minute, please. Then we can conclude that one size doesn't fit all. There must be some sort of variety and diversity in choosing our activity depends on the level of your students and their interests and needs. This is the point. Another one, if you please, all participants, all attendees, the form of attendees have been already sent to the chat box. Fill in before 10. Before 10. It will be closed at 10 exactly. مس هانم عبد الغفار موجودة يا جماعة؟ مس هانم عبد الغفار. منشيد سليمان. مس هانم موجودة؟ طيب
ايوه
مستر
استاذ محمود موجود. ايوه استاذ محمود انا موجود.
مس هانم موجودة. ده أول سيشن لحضرتك مش كده؟
ايوه
طيب if you please send me your data. ابعتي لي الإيميل والفون نمبر والاي دي بتاعك على الخاص بإذن الله. مستر هلال موجود؟ هلال علي سميدة. مستر هلال. مس هانم الصياد. هانم الصياد موجودة. طيب مستر عبد الشافي. مستر عبد الشافي موجود؟
ايوه يا استاذ محمود مس هانم موجود.
مس هانم موجود. اوكي. مستر عبد الشافي موجود؟
ايوه يا استاذنا موجود.
طيب تمام. مستر محمد عبد الغني موجود؟ مستر محمد عبد الغني موجود؟ مستر محمد مرزوق موجود؟ مستر محمد مرزوق موجود؟ Okay, that's enough. Go on, Miss Aslan.
Okay, Mr. Mahmoud. Okay. So, of course, I was speaking about visual aids, and you know that some students are called visual learners. So, what does this mean? Visual learners. So, this means those are the kind of students whose ability to digest and process new concepts and material is enhanced by what? By the use of pictures, diagrams, charts, and other visual tools, and even the videos. So, those kinds of students will not be able to work without paying attention to this skill related to seeing something. So they cannot understand without seeing something. Okay. And of course, we spoke about pre-teach new vocabulary words. Of course, this is when you have challenging reading assignment coming up. Some experts encourage you to preview a pre-teach new vocabulary words that may be unfamiliar to your students. And of course, I am speaking about something called group work, and this is not new for you. And you know, it affords additional opportunities for our students to practice their language skills with peers in what? In a less formal and lower risk setting. And this is a very significant point because our students will not feel hesitated or even shy because they feel relaxed. They don't feel any kind of risk, you know? And of course, there is something I want to tell you about. If there is a student who is silent all the time, what will you do with him? Who can answer this question? Please, this is a very important question for me. So please to share with me to answer this question. What can we do or what should we do with our students who are silent all the time or silent for a long time? So how do we deal with them? I don't want to speak. I don't want to share because help me because I am suffering from this problem because I have some colleagues who don't want to speak. Okay. Okay.
Can I
Miss
speak?
Sana, okay, you can start. Okay, we will listen to Miss Sana and after that we will listen to you, Mr.
Okay.
Okay, the first thing I have to do is to get the reason that prohibits this student to share with me. Is that because he is a weak language? He can't participate because he is shy or because his language doesn't help him to share with me. And according to the reason, I will take action with that student. If he is shy, I will encourage him by any way. If his level is weak, I can help him. Help
Okay,
him by giving.
Okay, what are the ways you can encourage your students to speak well?
Inspire him by giving him a present.
So how can
Or
I give you a
praising.
present now? Okay. Okay.
Okay. Or motivate him by anything according to his age. According
Yeah.
to my student's age, I can behave according to the conditions of these students.
Of course, and at the same time, appreciating their answers will be a good way to help them to speak. Okay, nice job. Who else, Mr. I can't see your name. Mr. Ahmed. Okay, Mr. Ahmed.
Okay. I think students like this one can be dealt with in a gradual way, not not in, يعني we can مثلا for example we can begin with single words like I ask them questions and they answer in only single words or two-word answer. Make some activities. Do some activities like physical activities. We can, for example, teach them some words like jump, walk, run, leap, and make them do these movements in front of the class. And then they say these words to their colleagues in the class, and do the same thing with other students. They speak to
Nice
other
job.
students
Okay.
and say, for example, to the other students, run, walk, jump, and so on.
So
This
you are
way,
speaking about movement inside the classroom.
yes, just small movements, not big movements, like just
Yeah.
yeah, in front of the board. There is a space in front of the board. They can perform these movements like walking and running and jumping, leaping, and so on, squatting. And they learn these words and repeat them and tell the other students to do these activities. Short exercises like these can encourage these students step by step, and the next time they can participate with longer sentences and so on. I think this is one
Good.
solution for this problem.
This is a kind of encouragement, Mr. Ahmed. Okay.
But I can remember something I want to tell you about. Okay. Sometime a long time ago, and I went to the British Council to have a course, speaking course. Okay. And some people attended from other nationalities. We had a Japanese girl, and she was present with us all the time, but she never spoke a word during all the sessions, and it was supposed to be a speaking course. Okay, but this girl was so shy, and the only thing that she said was one sentence, and I remember it till now. She said that I think Japanese hate Japan. That is all what she said. I don't know why, but she never participated. She was too shy, and she didn't speak at all. And our teacher was Scottish, and she tried her best to make her speak, but she failed. Sometimes it's impossible to make the student speak, and I think this is one example of what happened. And thank you.
Nice, but let me tell you, Mr. Ahmed, and my dear colleagues, that some students prefer to keep silent, but this doesn't mean that they are not able to speak. So we must respect their silence. So many new language learners tend to be a little quiet, like this girl you mentioned. So teachers are encouraged to be mindful of this and not to be too aggressive in forcing students to open up at the outset and yes, you must start to speak around. This is not correct because you must respect they were of silence and they prefer to keep silent and to listen to others to get some confidence to be able to speak. Sometimes when you listen to your colleague speaking, you will get some confidence and you will try to start to speak. Okay, so of course patience is preferable to pressure. Okay, don't press your student, you know. Okay, so of course you are teaching your students to speak, so they must feel relaxed. And this takes me to the point we are speaking about now in the grammar course. We are speaking about the difference between whether to use to plus infinitive and a verb with ing, or we can call parent. Okay, so how can I tell my students, or how can I teach my students in this part? For example, you can start with a sentence or two sentences as examples. For example, you can say, stop to buy bread from the supermarket. And another sentence, stop buying bread for the supermarket. And you can ask your students, Are these students the same? Do they have the same meaning? And you can let your students to share and to speak with you. No, this is not the same meaning because this means so and this means so and so on. So you let your students to speak. For example, they will speak. One of them might say that stop buying or stop buying. So this means that it's related to the gerund. So this means to quit an action. It's an order to never buy bread from the supermarket again. Maybe the bread is expensive or it's not good quality, whatever the reason. It means don't buy bread anymore. But this is also the form you should use when you are talking about addictions or bad habits. For example, when I say stop smoking cigarettes, it's bad for your health. So I might ask my students to discuss with me, and after that, I can add more ideas and let them share with me. Of course, a verb followed by a gerund has a completely different meaning than if the same verb is followed by an infinitive form. So, what do I mean by infinitive? To plus infinitive means to pause or leave one action to do another action. So you stop the action of walking or driving by. You interrupt an action to buy bread. So I might stop in order to buy. In order. So to means in order to. So firstly, you can let your students think of this point, and after that, you can add much information to them. So let me ask you a question here. What is a gerund? Do you think a gerund is a verb? So we still have 5 minutes, just 5 minutes. So do you think that a gerund is a verb?
No, it is a noun.
Yes. So a gerund looks like a verb, but it's actually a noun.
No.
It's formed by adding ing to the end of the base form of the verb, of course, like when I say listening to music helps me to relax. So I have the last question. What are the types of infinitive? Wow. Are there types of infinitive? What do you think? If you want to share, just unmute yourself and start speak.
Types of infinitive?
Yes. Okay,
Types?
let me tell you. Yes, you can start. Okay, miss. Okay, so I will tell you because we don't have time. So we have two kinds of infinitives. The first one we know well, of course, the to infinitive. It's called the to infinitive, which is the to plus the verb. Like when I say to listen, I prefer to listen to music when I'm working. And there is another one which is called zero infinitive, or the base form of the verb. So it's the infinitive without to, and it's called zero infinitive. And of course, in this topic or in this grammar rule, we are focusing on the to infinitive. So you must be specific while you are speaking with your students, even if you don't tell them what's the difference between infinitive or to infinitive, but you must be specific while you are speaking to them. Okay, so of course you might work by using some examples, and you can discuss with them. Of course, you can show them some verbs and to say, okay, is this verb followed by ing? And is this verb? And so on. And of course, you must show them that there are some verbs that are followed by to plus infinitive, and some verbs are followed by verbs or ing, and some of them are followed by both without any kind of a change, and some of them are followed by both, but there is a change, and so on. Of course, like when I say, make sure you stop to talk to Sarah, please mute yourself. Make sure that you stop to talk to Sarah before you leave work today. So she has got something important to tell you. So stop to talk. Stop in order to talk. So I must explain this to my student. And of course, I let them think first. Another example, when I say, for example, I worked all day. I didn't even stop to eat lunch. So stop work in order to eat lunch. And of course, some verbs keep the same meaning if they are followed by a gerund or the infinitive form, like start. For example, we start eating dinner at 7. We start to eat dinner at 7. Of course, they have the same meaning. So you can start by showing your students some examples and let them think and discuss with you and share. And you add more examples and they add more examples and so on. So if you have anything to add in this point, you can speak now. How to help your students to think in a grammar rule, and how do you manage this lesson? Okay, Mr. Ahmed, this is the last one. Okay, Mr. Ahmed.
Okay, first, if I want my students to think in English in general, I ask them to generate as many sentences as possible in the given rule. For example, the present simple or the past simple, or any other rule they are taught, and they must speak in that rule and generate as many sentences as possible. That is one thing.
So if you let your students to generate some examples, some sentences, so thus you are helping them to think in English. And this is a good point, Mr. Ahmed. And I will finish our meeting today, because if any one of you wants to attend the other meeting, of course, you are most welcomed. Thank you. Thanks a lot for your listening to me, and see you next time, inshallah. See you all. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you, Ms. Aslana. Great effort. We are really grateful.
Thank
You
you.
hear me? You hear me?
Sure, we hear you.
Yeah. My dear colleagues,
Yes, yes,
I'm here or not?
Yes.
As we conclude today's